Hi guys, welcome back. Now, as far as demand and supply is concerned, we're done with 2.3, we're also done with 2.4, we're done with 2.5, 2.6, and now this video we're going to be starting on price elasticity of demand (PED), which is a very important topic for IGCSE and for O levels, both for MCQs and also for paper 2. Now, guys, first let's see what PED is and what really do we mean by elasticity. See, elasticity, the word elasticity means responsiveness, right? This means response of anything. So if I give you, if I, let's say, if I push someone, then some person who is a bit weak physically might go a very far extent. That response would be that he would go very far extent. But if someone's like physically strong and if I push him, then probably he would not really go by a far extent, or probably he will just stay there, or maybe just move one or two steps ahead, right? So when we talk about elasticity, we're talking about the response, right? And now if we sort of use this concept on PED, so the price elasticity would mean that price is the force that is exerted, while the response is on the demand. Now we already know, guys, we already know from our previous videos that the law of demand taught us that demand curve is downward sloping, and it taught us, let's say, it taught us that if you reduce the price, right, the quantity demanded goes up. But it didn't really tell us that by how much quantity demanded goes up. It did tell us that yes, it will go up, but by how much? So the law of demand was really silent on that. So the concept of PED will help us determine it. So let's say if I were to say that if the price goes down by, let's say, 10%, minus means it's going down. If the price goes down by 10%, by how much will the quantity demanded go up? Will it go up by 10% only? Will it go up by 15%? Will it go up by 25% or 1% or won't even change? So I mean, there are various possibilities, and that is exactly what the PED studies, because quantity demanded going up by 1%, 10%, 15 or 25% is basically the response of quantity demanded to a price change of 10%. So yes, the law of demand told us that there's an inverse relation between price and quantity, but it really didn't tell us that by how much would that quantity demanded change in response to price changes. Similarly, if the price is going up by, let's say, I don't know, 10%, by how much will the quantity demanded go down? Will it go down by 15%, 20%, 30%, or what? Or maybe 5% only? That is what the PED will tell us, right? And that is exactly why economists need to study about PED. And not only economists, in fact, firms are also very much interested to know that, if, let's say, if I am a business selling clothes, I would want to know that if I reduce my price by 10%, by how much would quantity demanded increase? Will the quantity demanded increase by, let's say, 20% or 30%? Because this information will help me determine the estimated impact on my revenues and sales, right? So guys, what is a technical definition of PED? Let's come to the point now. PED simply measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded, not demand, the quantity demanded to a change in price. That is the definition. Now let's look at the formula. How do we calculate PED? It is simply calculated by the percentage change, not the change, but if you write change, it will be wrong. Percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Now, you've already studied O-level math, or you are studying O-level math. You know how to calculate percentage changes. I'm going to also teach you in this video not how to calculate a percentage change, but simply just the basic stuff. So anyways, now you have basically 4 type of elasticities that you need to study. So, if, the PED, okay, now we'll come to that later. So let's say the PED, what is PED measuring? It is measuring the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in price. The formula is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Now let's look at this. For instance, if the price rises from $10 to $12, let's say the price today was $10, and let's say after a month it went up to $12. Now what is the percentage change? What is the percentage change in price? How will you calculate the percentage change in price? Simply, you will do new price minus the old price divided by the old price times 100. That is the formula for percentage change, whether you're calculating the percentage change in price or quantity. Simply new minus old upon old times 100, right? So the new price is, and similarly the quantity demanded, so if the price is going up, right, the quantity demanded has to fall, and we see that the quantity demanded falls from 10 to 6. So I mean, if I were to sort of graph this up, so it would be something like, if the price goes up from, let's say it was 10 to 12, the quantity demanded goes down from 10 to 6, right? Anyways, let's sort of remove the graphs. You'll see that in the later video. So calculating the PED would mean that if you want to calculate a percentage change in quantity demanded, so new minus old upon old times 100, that is the new quantity is 6 minus the old quantity 10 divided by the old quantity 10 times 100, and this would be minus 40%, which is this value. Similarly, percentage change in price, the new price being 12 minus the old 10 upon 10 being the old price times 100, which is 20%. So this is telling us that if the price goes up by 20%, plus means the price is going up, minus means the quantity is going down. And obviously this is very obvious. Now hear this out. This is very, very obvious that if the price is going up, you have a plus in the denominator, there has to be a minus in the numerator. Or if, let's say, you have a minus in the denominator, obviously you have to have a plus in the denominator. Sorry. If you have a minus in the denominator, obviously you have to have a plus in the numerator, because it's showing the inverse relation, right? They both are moving in opposite. The forces are opposite. Anyways. Law of demand, inverse relation between price and quantity demanded. So the PED would be minus 2. Why? Because percentage gets cancelled. 40 upon 20 is 2, and the sign would be minus. Now if I were to ask you guys, is minus 2 greater than 1, less than 1? Now mathematically you will say that minus 2 is less than 1, right? Minus 2 is obviously less than 1 mathematically, but you will ignore the minus sign because you will just look at the value of the PED, that is 2. See, minus is the sign of the PED, and the sign of the PED will always be in minus. So you just need to look at the value, that is, you also call it the coefficient of the PED. Just look at the absolute value, that is 2, right? So 2 is greater than 1, obviously. Or minus 2 is less than 1, but I said ignore the minus sign, because minus sign doesn't really means anything here mathematically. It just means that there's an inverse relation. So you'll just look at the absolute value 2. 2 is greater than 1. Remember guys, the rule is that whenever the PED would be greater than 1, the rule is that whenever the PED would be greater than 1, and I repeat, the rule is that whenever the PED would be greater than 1, PED would be called as elastic. Elastic means elastic. The demand is elastic. The demand is elastic. Now what do you mean by that? We'll come to that later. And what this really means is that, so what do you mean by, if let's say there's a number 2 here, right? So what do you really mean by 2? So 2 means 2 upon 1. Or if I write 3 here, 3 means 3 upon 1. So it obviously, so what this means is, you see, what's happening here is, I want you to focus here. See, for a 20% rise in price, the quantity goes down by 40%. So for every 1% rise in price, the quantity demanded goes down by 2%. This is what it actually means. If the PED is minus 2, it simply means that for every 1% rise in price, the quantity demanded falls by 2%. That is what it actually means. The value 2 here is representing the response of quantity demanded to a change in price. And this is the responsiveness. What is the response of QT to a change in price? It's simply telling us that for every 1% increase in price, my quantity demanded is going to go down by 2%. And this information is very, very useful for firms. And we'll see that later in the videos as well. So here I have calculated the percentage change in price and quantity the same way I did it as above. So you can just copy this down for the first video. The formula for percentage change is also mentioned here. So this is how you calculate PED, and here the PED is basically greater than 1 because 2, you look at the value 2, and whenever the PED would be greater than 1, it would mean that PED is elastic. And don't you think that, what do you really mean by elastic? Elastic simply means that PED is responsive to a price change. It's responsive. The quantity demanded responds proportionately more to a price change. And I'll write this down, but this is not really right now for this video. This is an introductory video to PED. What does elastic means? See, this is a calculation learning video, or basically an intro to PED. The next video will cover what does elastic means, what does inelastic means, because I want to take this slow, not too fast, because it can get confusing. So guys, elastic, okay, so let's now look at another example. Now in the next example, which you see on your screen right now, the price is falling from 10 to 7. Here the price is falling, not rising, and the quantity demanded will obviously rise from 10 to 11, because when the price falls, the quantity rises. Now putting the values in the PED formula, PED is percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in price. Let's first calculate the percentage change in quantity demanded. You'll use the same formula, new minus old upon old times 100, new quantity 11, old quantity 10 divided by the old quantity 10 times 100. it gives you the value of plus 10%, which means that, now you can actually pause the video and do these calculations yourself if you think that I am a bit fast right now, because the reason I'm fast is because you can do it yourself as well, these calculations. I'm more on the explanatory side, so you can pause it and do the calculation yourself if you want to. Okay, so the percentage change in price would be, the price is falling from 10 to 7. So same formula, the new minus old upon old times 100. The new price is 7, old price 10, new old price 10 times 100, 30%. Now, if you look at over here, you plug in these values 30 and 10 over here. The percentage change in quantity demand is plus 10%, meaning that the quantity is going up, because you can see the quantity going up from 10 to 11. There's an extension in demand happening basically, while the percentage change in price falls. There's a 30% decrease in price, so you plug in the values, and what you notice is that percent gets cancelled. The answer is minus 0.3. Now, again, like I said, you always ignore the minus sign. If you want to remember, guys, whenever you want to judge that whether the value of the PED is greater than 1 or the value of the PED is less than 1, you just don't look at the minus sign. Ignore that. Just look at the absolute value, which is 0.3. And 0.3 is less than 1. Now, the rule is that whenever the PED value will be less than 1, again, I'm repeating, whenever the PED value will be less than 1, the PED would be called as inelastic. And inelastic basically means less responsive to a price change, or technically what it means is that quantity demanded responds proportionately less than price. So you can see yourself that, you gave a 30%, the prices went down by 30%. Oh my God, 30%, there's a 30% prices went down. Oh my God, it means that people would be loving to buy this product. But no, we observe that, the quantity demanded only goes up by 10%. It means that consumers are less sensitive to price change. Look at, and I can give you an example as well. Let's say that the price of, potatoes or tomatoes or onions goes down by 30%. You won't really flood the market shopping onions. Come on. But if your famous luxury perfume brand or designer bag prices go down, people would go crazy. That is why people, we see that on Black Friday sales, people go crazy and they start buying these luxury products and electronic products, which are luxuries, because obviously that has more response if they're elastic in nature, right? Or let's say if the price of salt goes down, if let's say salt or sugar becomes cheaper by 30%, again, oh my God, but nothing, it's not oh my God, because the reason is that quantity demanded will not go up by that much. So now in the exam, guys, there are two things. When I'm explaining, I'm going to explain it in a way that you can comprehend. But then in the exam, you need to write technical language. You can't say that quantity demanded doesn't go by that much. Now, because what do you mean by that much? So you know what you mean by that much, but you can't tell this to the examiner. In the exam, you will say that quantity demanded does not rise. Quantity demanded rises proportionately less. And you can see for yourself. Price is going down by 30%, but quantity demanded is rising by 10% only. So it is rising proportionately less, comparatively less, relatively less than the price fall. Got it, guys? So this is what inelastic. And like I said, in the next video, I'm going to be explaining what do you really mean by elastic and inelastic. Exactly these definitions I will be giving you, that quantity demanded rises proportionately more or quantity demanded rises proportionately less. This is what elastic and inelastic means, and we also be going to be looking at the diagrams, because this was just an introductory video or a calculation video. And you see, guys, there are 4 types of elasticities that we will be studying. PED. So basically 4 types of elasticities are that you will be studying, that are in your syllabus that you need to study, are PED being greater than 1, and whenever the PED is greater than 1, demand is elastic. Whenever the PED is less than 1, demand is inelastic. Whenever the PED is 0, the demand is perfectly inelastic, and whenever the PED is equal to 1, the demand is unitary elastic. And I'll explain what each of these means. These two being the most common real world practical examples, while these two being more theoretical, or let's say more textbook examples. But so the reason why, you see, PED is not something that is not new to you. We all see, because this is behavioral economics that you're studying right now. It has to do with behavior of consumers. It studies consumer behavior because you need. I mean, there has to be a reason why. Let's say if iPhone, slashes down prices by, it reduces the prices by 10% or 20%. People would definitely end up buying more of it, or maybe they would start buying it. We'll see consumers flooding the markets, and if luxury brands reduce prices, that is why. And that is why in Black Friday sales and these sales that happen in Pakistan, if let's say we talk about the Pakistan example, the famous 11 sale on Daraz, I mean, that is why even brands, after reducing prices by 30%, 40%, still witness huge amount of sales. And the reason why they witness huge amount of sales is, despite the fact that they reduce prices, is because once my student asked me that these brands end up reducing prices, don't isn't that a loss to them? I said no, they actually gain, especially because when the demand is elastic, you see yourself, if you're reducing your prices by 20%, you see a sudden 40% jump in quantity that is being demanded. So definitely brands here would not be at a loss. They would in fact be at a gain. They would be better off than before, right? So this is what we'll see, and the next video we're going to be discussing now is about the graphs of elasticity, what elastic and elastic actually means, what you need to write in the exam as far as the definitions are concerned, and we're going to be looking at the diagrams for elasticity as well. So this was a good introduction video. I hope you understood it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, take care.